I'm Melanie, a children's book author, and in this clip, I'll be telling you a bit more about science fiction. Now, I understand that you are interested in participating in the Aspire Sci-Fi contest as part of Aspire Incubation Lab's Space Expedition 2022. For this contest, you are required to write a space sci-fi story with a word count between 300 and 500 words. Before you even start writing your story, it's important to actually understand some basic concepts of science fiction. According to Oxford Dictionary, science fiction stories are usually based on imagined future scientific or technological advances and major social or environmental changes, frequently portraying space or time travel and life on other planets. Given such a broad definition, you can see that science fiction is one of the most creative genres in literature. Anything is possible. Even though the writing competition is asking specifically for space sci-fi, there's still plenty to explore within this scope. For a start, here are some common elements found in space science fiction to get your creative juices going. Any story about space usually involves exploration as characters go beyond their comfort zones and explore new worlds. With new worlds comes new beings, and space sci-fi is usually big on aliens and extraterrestrial life. In space, travel usually gets a lot more sophisticated as well, and characters would usually be able to travel very quickly using some kind of teleporting technology to get them from point A to point B. And with the fancy new technology in spaceships, usually come highly intelligent computers and robots who often make great supporting characters in a story. And for the drama, many sci-fi stories will be framed by wars between various planets, and often this may serve as commentary as to what is happening in present times on Earth as well. Given such reflections, there are a number of space stories that dwell on parallel universes where characters can explore the what-ifs and ponder upon how to move forward in life. Next up, I'll be sharing with you some popular themes found in sci-fi books and movies to help you get started on some ideas on the kind of sci-fi story that you want to write. A common type of sci-fi story is known as the space opera. Now, it doesn't mean there is singing involved. The opera is derived from the term soap operas. And with such stories, there's usually plenty of dramatic fighting and some romance. To make that world believable, the story would usually involve cool spaceships and futuristic weapons. A recent example of a space opera would be Dune, which was recently a movie, but originally it was a sci-fi novel set in a galactic empire, where the hero rules over a deserted planet, which makes a powerful drug that many seek. There's also space western sci-fi story, which views space as the final frontier, and its form is influenced by cowboy westerns. Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy movie and comics are a good example of this, where you see this motley group travel around various lawless planets with thieves, smugglers, and conquerors. Dystopian fiction is also a popular theme in science fiction because such a premise creates a lot of tension where a world is in decline. Typically with dystopian fiction, it will feature sobering things such as environmental ruin, government oppression, and persuasive technological control. The example I'm giving here is Hunger Games. While it is not set in space, it does capture this ominous sense of foreboding, with a tragic, unequal society that requires children to compete in the Hunger Games in order to survive. Such a subversion to current reality is also suitable for science fiction. Inversely, there's also utopian fiction in sci-fi, which essentially are stories that present a vision of an ideal society. While such stories may have less dramatic tension, there's usually more character development and values, such as equality and acceptance, which tend to be emphasized. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers centers on an astronaut who learns to come to terms with her troubled past after bonding well with her crew. And in this case, the spaceship becomes the utopia for this story. There's also sci-fi, which brings in fantasy elements to its plot. This usually involves magic, mythology, and folklore. But the difference is that there are usually scientifically logical explanations to these supernatural elements. An example of such a story is A Wrinkle in Time, where children travel through various planets with a magical invention known as the Tesseract. I hope that this broad overview on science fiction has given you some ideas on the kind of story that you want to write. Do check out the other videos that focus more on the nuts and bolts of writing a space sci-fi story.